Hello, fearless learners. Today we are at the bakery and we're going to be looking at the different types of bread to help you get a little bit more comfortable when it comes to going to the bakery. So, super simple. On the left hand side, I've put the different sentences, and on the right hand side, I've put a few words, words that you might want to know the meaning of. Okay, so you start off by saying to the baker or the person that is serving you on the other side of the counter, you'd say, I'd like. You start with I'd like. Remember always to add please at the end and thank you when you receive your order. So start with I'd like, I'd like, I'd like a loaf of white bread, please. I'd like a loaf of white bread, please. I'd like a loaf of white bread, please. I can't even say it, so I need a little bit of practice. I hope you're practicing as well. Let's say it one more time. I'd like a loaf of white bread, please. I'd like a loaf of white bread, please. The next one. I'd like a loaf of sourdough. I can't say these words today because I'm feeling a little bit I'm feeling under the weather, so the words are not coming out as well. So let me try that again. I'd like a loaf of sourdough bread, please. I'd like a loaf of sourdough bread, please. I'd like a loaf of sourdough bread, please. One more time. I'd like a loaf of sourdough bread, please. I'll give you one more time because this one's a little bit more difficult. I'd like a loaf of sourdough bread, please. Good. Okay, the next one. I'd like gluten-free bread, please. I'd like gluten-free bread, please. Now, I know I've gone through these without even explaining it, but I'll explain it once I finish the sentences. The next one is, I'd like a loaf of whole grain bread, please. I'd like a loaf of whole grain bread, please. Or, I'd like a loaf of brown bread, please. That's easier. I think brown bread is easier than whole grain. I'd like a loaf of whole grain bread, please. Today my mouth is letting me down. I'm going to say it 2 more times. I'd like a loaf of whole grain bread, please. I'd like a loaf of whole grain bread, please. Now I want to say the brown bread. I'd like brown bread, please. I'd like a loaf of brown bread, please. I'd like a loaf of brown bread, please. I'd like a loaf of brown bread, please. And last but not least, I'd like a bread. I can't say anything, guys, today. I'd like a baguette, please. I'd like a baguette, please. I'd like a baguette, please. Or sometimes you hear, I'd like a French baguette, please. I'd like a French baguette, please. So you see, like, I find it difficult sometimes to say certain words as well, especially if I'm feeling sick. So I'm leaving all of the mistakes in so you can see that teachers also make mistakes and teachers also find it difficult to say certain words. Okay, so now let's explain what these different phrases are. I'd like a loaf of white bread. This is simple. So it's when they take out some of the seeds. So part of the seed they take out, which makes the bread white and it doesn't have much of a taste. Now, the opposite of that is whole grain or brown bread. So this is when I've written here, it's a healthier version. It's got everything, nothing's taken away. So it's got more nutrients and it's better for you. So that's the alternative. Tell me which one you prefer. Do you prefer white bread or brown bread? Now, my favorite is a loaf of sourdough bread. Sourdough, the reason why it's called sourdough, it uses a different type of yeast and it has like a sour, acidic, like vinegary taste to the bread, which is delicious. I like to put avocado on it and different types of things and have it for breakfast. So I've explained all the different ones except for gluten-free bread. So I'd like gluten-free bread, please. I'd like gluten-free bread, please. Now, what is this? Gluten-free bread is a type of bread that doesn't include gluten. So gluten is a type of protein that's inside the wheat. And so you can get gluten-free bread, you can get gluten-free cakes, you can get gluten-free pastries. So pastries are things like croissant or what's it called? Pan au chocolat. All of these different types of things, you can get it gluten-free for people that are allergic to gluten. Okay, so you'd say, I'd like gluten-free bread, please. Well, there you go. I hope you found this lesson useful. If you have, please share it with your friends and make sure you take notes and you practice all of these sentences. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.